Germany's federal energy minister just admitted this.
The phase-out of nuclear was a huge mistake, and we miss this energy.
And right now, with the war in Iran causing gas prices to rise, Germany's feeling the consequences of its nuclear phase-out in real time.
In der schwersten Energiekrise, die das Land je gesehen hat nach dem Zweiten Weltkrieg, wäre das vielleicht die bessere Entscheidung gewesen.
To understand how Europe's largest economy ended up in this debacle, we have to go back to April 26, 1986. Chernobyl. The explosion didn't just send a radioactive cloud across Europe, it sent a political shockwave through West Germany that would take decades to reach its head. Anti-nuclear sentiment had already been building, but Chernobyl turned it into a mass movement. For a generation of German politicians, opposing nuclear power became not just a policy position, but a moral identity. Then came Fukushima in March 2011. Chancellor Merkel ordered the immediate shutdown of 8 reactors. The rest would follow by 2023. By April, Germany's final 3 plants were switched off for good. The Atomausstieg, which means nuclear phase-out in German, was complete. What many celebrated as a triumph of environmental values, others denounced as a massive step backwards.
War also sehr emotional für mich, muss ich jetzt ehrlich sagen. Also es ist ein großes Wahrzeichen jetzt, ist Geschichte.
Unfortunately for Germany, demolition makes it difficult to turn back. In Germany's learning, you cannot switch off nuclear power and replace it with renewables overnight. The wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine, and in the meantime, you need something to keep the lights on. For Germany, that something has been imported fossil fuels. Gas covers over a quarter of Germany's primary energy needs, and 95% of that comes from abroad. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022 and pipeline gas dried up almost overnight, Germany scrambled to build LNG terminals and sign emergency contracts. Net imports of oil, gas, coal, and nuclear energy cost Germany over 80 billion euros in 2023 alone, more than twice what the country invested in renewables that same year. The consequences for ordinary Germans have been severe. Gas prices for households were 74% above 2021 levels by 2024. Industrial output for energy-intensive goods remained roughly 17% below pre-2022 levels. Germany's famous industrial base has been hollowed out, and because energy has simply become too expensive. In March 2026, Energy Minister Katharina Reich stood before an international audience at CERAWeek in Houston and admitted Germany's mistake. And she wasn't alone. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called it a strategic mistake for Europe. After being exposed to the fossil fuel price shocks caused by the Iranian war, she continued to call the war a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities and price shocks that come with being dependent on fossil fuel imports. Leading German economic institutes warned that price shocks would cut expected 2026 GDP growth to just 0.6%. And sadly, it's too late for Germany to renege on its nuclear phase-out. The reactors are gone, decommissioned, defueled, in some cases demolished. Restarting them would take years and cost billions. Germany drove along the one-way road out of nuclear power, and along the drive, it learned a lesson other countries should study carefully. When you dismantle 20 gigawatts of domestic, carbon-free baseload power, you don't just lose electricity, you lose geopolitical leverage. Germany spent 40 years fighting nuclear power, and 20 years dismantling it. Now its own energy minister is on a stage in Texas admitting decades of anti-nuclear policy was a huge mistake. The question isn't whether Germany was wrong. That debate is very one-sided. The question is, what will Germany do next, now that its back is against the wall? If you want more stories like this, hit the subscribe button. You're in the right place. I'll see you next time for your nightly nuke.